Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you. Can everyone hear me? Okay, awesome. I'm Arati Prabhakar. I'm the director at Darpa, and I get to kick us off this morning. It's just wonderful to see all of you here today. Today we're going to be sharing with you what we're doing in our Biological Technologies office at Darpa. We want to share with you the work that we're doing and the future that we're trying to build. We're also here to hear from you about what you think the biggest ideas are that can change our world as biology starts becoming a very powerful technology. So that'll be the conversation throughout the day. The things that we want to do are going to require this kind of engagement with a very broad community. So I really want to thank all of you for taking the time to put this on your calendar and make your way to the SFO Hilton here. Who have we got in the room? So first of all, who's here from a university today? That's a terrific mix. How about entrepreneurs or people from companies? Wow, that's awesome. We have some investors, I think, in the room. We got some investors? Well, easy pickings for you investors. Not too many of you and lots of the others, so that's a great mix. Let's see. So today, during the day, you're going to be hearing from Jeff Ling, who's the director of our Biological Technologies office, Alicia Jackson, who's the deputy director. You'll hear from their cadre of amazing program managers. You're going to hear from some terrific guest speakers as well. What I want to do in my couple of minutes with you at the beginning is to share with you what Darpa is so that you'll know where we're coming from. Who knows about Darpa? Anyone know a little bit about Darpa? Who has actually worked with Darpa in the past? So let me ask you, who here has never worked with Darpa in the past? That's so great. We love all of you that we get to work with. We're really pleased as well to get people who don't know about us. So many of you will know that Darpa's story began in 1957 with the launch of Sputnik. It was the first time that human beings had put an artificial satellite on orbit. The fact that the human beings who did that were from the Soviet Union got a lot of people's attention in the height of the Cold War. It was a big surprise for the United States, and in response, our country did a handful of pretty smart things, I think. One of them was to start Darpa. And if you think back to the era after the Second World War, starting in that period, our nation made a very deep commitment to supporting science and engineering research, recognizing how important it was for every aspect of our lives and our society. In 1957, after Sputnik, Darpa was created out of a recognition that in that mix of federal support for R&D, that we also needed a place that was specifically in the business of preventing that kind of technological surprise. So my predecessors, dating back to the late 50s, very quickly realized that the best way to prevent surprise is to go create a few surprises of our own. And that's what Darpa has been doing for 6 decades nearly now. And so when those of us who work at Darpa talk to our colleagues in the Defense Department and in the military in Washington, but also around the world as they're dealing with the problems of the world, they know us as the originators of stealth aircraft, which allow them to operate safely in a contested environment. They know us as the technologists behind the very powerful phased array radars and electronic warfare systems that let them see what's happening in the battle space and shape what the other guy gets to see. They know us as the technologists behind precision guidance, so that when they launch a missile, that missile hits its intended target and no other. And so those are the kinds of technologies that, with Darpa's early support, have helped change how we fight today. But I actually got to spend about half of my professional life down the road here most of that in early stage venture capital. Half of my professional life is 15, so if you can multiply, you got a big number. And what I found in my Silicon Valley life was that actually a lot of people in Silicon Valley knew Darpa as well, but they knew us for the enabling technologies that we had invested in over many, many decades. We made these investments because of our national security mission, but of course they blossomed in so many other ways as well. So people with a very long memory remembered our very early investments that helped spark the creation of material science as a discipline, work that we did in structural materials and composites and electronic materials of every sort. People in the electronics world and the semiconductor world knew us for our early work on VLSI design and semiconductor process technology and RF semis and MEMS technology. people in computer science and information technology thought of us, of course, among other things, for a lot of the early work we did, decades of work in artificial intelligence, all aspects of AI. And virtually everyone in Silicon Valley who knew anything about DARPA knew us because of this crazy project starting in the 60s to hook a few computers together with the ARPANET, which of course eventually became the internet. So all of those technologies together, and many of you have been involved with some of those, all of those technologies together also changed how we live and work as a society. And it's those kinds of ambitions that inspire those of us who have the privilege of working at DARPA today. We come to work every day to run programs with the aspiration that they will start that kind of revolution that will have that scale of impact. So that's all very interesting history. What's going on with biology? One of the things that DARPA has done consistently over many decades is to scour the research horizons and to look for the places where activity is just happening. Things are really fast and furious. Sometimes in research that means great science is happening and there are going to be a lot of Nobel Prizes. Once in a while it means that the seeds of the next technological surprise are going to happen in that area. And DARPA, after many years of modest investments in biology-related work, last year we concluded that this was an important time for us as an agency to really focus hard in this area. To do that, we created the Biological Technologies Office last April. We asked Jeff and Alicia, both of whom had backgrounds as program managers, to lead that organization because as we look at biology today intersecting with the physical sciences and engineering and with information technology, we see the kind of foment that tells us something big can happen. So you'll hear a lot more about the specific notions that we have. We very much want to hear your ideas about what can be very powerful coming out of that. Let me just take a minute and talk a little bit about how this happens. None of those accomplishments that I mentioned happened within our own four walls at DARPA. None of our future ambitions will be fulfilled within our own four walls at DARPA. We're a very tiny organization. We are 200 government employees at DARPA. Half of that is a cadre of technical staff, our program managers, who come to DARPA typically for 3 to 5 years. They come from universities, from companies of all different types, from other parts of the research enterprise within government and outside. They are the core of our agency, and they have the responsibility to craft, to shape, to run, to deliver on the programs that are our way of trying to change the future. You'll meet a number of them today, so let me just tell you a little bit about what I expect from them when they come in the door. A lot of program managers come to DARPA because they have a vision for something they want to go do. But even those program managers, when they walk in the door, an important first step for them is to interact with the broad technical community, get out into that foment and figure out what's really going to be possible. Also to go think about and learn from people about what the biggest challenges in national security are. And in that brewing process across the opportunities and the challenges, the program manager's first core job is to craft a great DARPA program, to imagine something that seems very, very hard, but they think actually might be technically plausible, that if we achieved it, and we're willing to take a lot of risk, if it can achieve enough impact, we'll take enormous risk. But we only do that when the objective is something that if we achieve it really is going to unleash something big. So that's number one. The program manager then will put out a program announcement, will invite people's ideas and proposals. It's the first chance they have to project their vision about what they're trying to accomplish. And something interesting often happens at that juncture. Often the people in the technical community who helped inspire that vision read that first announcement and they go, wait a minute, that's impossible. Well, how is that going to happen? But then fortunately they roll up their sleeves, they send in proposals, and from that community the program manager assembles from the best ideas that come in. That program manager assembles a program, a collection of contracts or grants with a variety of different players, and that group then gets to work and starts doing the research that's going to drive the area forward. Now, of course, the visible part is the technical results that comes out of it, but I'll tell you the secret. The real secret is we're building communities when we do that. And as that community starts turning the impossible into real possibilities, then the next part of the program manager's job is to do everything possible to push those results out into the hands of whoever is going to run the next leg in the relay race, because we spark, we start, we almost never complete the journey. And that brings us back, I think, to the roles that many of you have as entrepreneurs and as investors, because I think you're going to be very, very important in achieving those missions. That's a little bit about DARPA and how we do what we do. Let me just finish by sharing with you a story from a family vacation that we took about a month ago. We landed in Florida. That's where you go when you live in Washington, D.C. for a quick winter getaway. And we arrived. There was this gorgeous sunset. The stars were starting to emerge, and we wanted to know what the stars were that we were seeing. And, 4 of us in a car, so there were probably, 12 electronic devices. So we found the one that had the astronomy app on it, and we pointed at the star, and we knew what we were looking at. It's something so simple, and something we just sort of take for granted now. A few years ago, it would have been a little miracle. We all live with that technology today in our daily lives. Around the world, in troubled places, our soldiers and our sailors, our Marines, our special operators, they too are beginning to rely on smartphones and tablets and the powerful apps that can be built on top of them to orient themselves, to share data in different ways. Very, very powerful in that world as well. When they or we use those technologies, we're living on top of a foundation of technology that DARPA helped build with a very broad research community. It's in the chip that talks to the cell tower. It's in the chip that tells you what the orientation of the phone is. It's in the materials and the displays and the batteries. It's obviously in the networks that you connect to make all of those amazing apps happen. Now, especially those of you who live in the business community and in Silicon Valley know what happened on top of that foundation, which was enormous creativity from entrepreneurs who built products and businesses, whole new industries, and with them the investors who, as they saw those markets, as they started creating those markets, investors teamed with them with capital and expertise, helped build everything it took to go from all those bits of technology to this phenomenal, powerful capability that we all enjoy today. That's the kind of thing that we now have the opportunity to spark in a whole new area for the next generation. And again, that's why I'm so pleased you all have come to spend the day with us. We very much look forward to the conversation. So thanks for joining us. I hope it's a great day.